Hi, I'm Pony Nymph. This is part 3 of my Warrior Cats Clan Generator Challenge video series. I'll link the original video by Nefali in the description, as well as part 1 and 2 where I introduce Cicelyclan, Blackstar, Shrivelfur, and Pipitleaf. Just as a heads up, there may be some flashing imagery in this video since it's sped up footage. I really should have said that in my other videos, so I'm sorry for not thinking about that sooner. In this video, I'm going over the warriors and mentors. The clan generator seems to produce really small clans, which I guess is more realistic, but it was surprising to see. Cicelyclan ended up having 6 warriors, which will make this video longer than the previous ones, but leave the clan fairly small. I'm going to give cat-specific info like in part 2, but I've also got some more world-building info to share. I also want to say thanks to everyone that has been watching and commenting. I've really enjoyed seeing what you all think. Rat said they tried the generator and also got Cicelyclan, which I was wondering if there were going to be any repeat clans, so I'm really glad you commented because that answers my question. W. Murphy also suggested a naming convention that actually might work really well. It would make a lot of sense, and I'm going to see if I can do something like that between now and when the Retired Cats video comes out. Thank you all so much for your feedback, and without further ado, let's get started. First up is Cinderstripe. She's a short-haired, blue and cream tick tortoiseshell with yellow eyes. She is friendly, but definitely keeps to herself, and has a resting bitch face. She helps whenever asked, but prefers to, in her own words, mind her own business. Her mother is Cormorant Heart, a queen you'll meet in a later video. You'll meet her aunt, Heatherlegge, later in this video, and her grandmother, Swanheart, in the Elders video. As an apprentice, Cinderpaw made her mark in hunting. She was good at fighting, really good actually, but with so many other strong cats in the clan, she didn't feel like she was making a difference. She decided to focus on hunting instead. Cinderpaw saw the immediate rewards from it, and could contribute to the clan directly in a way fighting just didn't do for her. She excelled at it, and was all around a wonderful apprentice. She also made friends with Eveningpaw, a cat that would become her closest friend. It amused and confused the mentors to no end as to how the laziest cat ended up friends with Cinderpaw, but the two got along on a level Cinderpaw just couldn't with any other cat. The Greencough wave hit while she was an apprentice, only halfway through her training. She and Eveningpaw rode it out on the outskirts of camp. Cinderpaw would hunt and leave prey for those stuck inside camp, and she kept her and Eveningpaw from going hungry. Eveningpaw contracted white cough, but Cinderpaw was able to give him just enough first aid to cure him. After the wave of green cough ended, her and Eveningpaw were quickly made warriors. They weren't overdue for it, and actually missed a few months of training from the epidemic, but she was ready to be a warrior, and Eveningberry was close enough. Cicelyclan was eager to have what few capable paws were left fetching prey. She is diligent in her duties, mostly being sent to hunt. In her free time, she is usually hanging out with Eveningberry. She is having a bit of a crisis at the moment. She spent her whole life training and being the best she could be for her clan, taking in orders from those around her and simply carrying them out. But now that she has her own bit of authority, she feels lost. She's not sure who she is outside of her duties. Coming back to camp last Leaf Bear to see many families wiped out got her thinking about her future outside of training for the first time. She had never thought about wanting a mate, or kits, or anything. She's never had a crush. She feels like she should have by now, but who would she even have a crush on? She feels empty. She's not even sure what her personality is. She is more than capable at what she does, but that's it. She doesn't know who she is outside of work. She has vented a little bit of this to Eveningberry, but honestly isn't sure what to do about these feelings yet. She's having trouble understanding them, let alone expressing them. But Eveningberry has made it clear to her that he's here for her, and it's been a huge help to have him by her side. Cinderstripe is currently 10 moons old, and is regarded as the best hunter in Cicelyclan. In the minute I have left of her speed draw, I want to briefly explore what warriors actually do in Cicelyclan, because it's a little different from the books. Since there aren't neighboring clans, or any threats other than illness or weather, they don't have much need for fighting. The cats learn basic self-defense, some fighting skills a rogue would need, and train for the occasional ill-tempered intruder, but that's pretty much it. They spend most of their training on hunting, swimming, fishing, foraging, the history of the clan, and survival skills needed for the area. They learn to identify dangerous plants and insects, how to help a cat that has fallen into too deep or too cold water, and what to expect from each season. It's more of learning how to live in the area rather than protecting it. Their former size also allowed for more specific roles. With so many cats available, the term warrior became more of a general term for simply being a graduated adult. Cats are sent on tasks based on the strengths they've shown in training, and generally will only do that task until they retire. Some roles have specific names, while others haven't quite developed one yet, and they're simply cats doing their particular tasks. Had the clan not been downsized, Cinderstripe would be allotted exclusively to hunting, only rarely doing other duties. The structure currently is more similar to the books, though, now that there aren't many cats in the clan. But in their former glory, Cinderstripe would have exclusively hunted, and maybe even would have been in charge of her own hunting party. Next up is Cinderstripe's best friend, Eveningberry. He is a short-haired, classic caramel tabby with green eyes. He's a big jokester, usually being sarcastic or shelling out puns. He's pretty lazy, usually found sunbathing or napping. He is willing to put in elbow grease, but usually only if he's told to, or it's heavily implied. Eveningberry and Cinderstripe became friends when they were apprentices. Since Cicelyclan was so big, they were brought up in different nurseries. Eveningpaw latched onto Cinderpaw, finding her slightly sour mood amusing compared to the chipper kits that had been in his nursery. He admired how hard she tried, and figured she'd need help relaxing, and he'd need her help training. He was a pretty terrible apprentice. He did do pretty good at history, though, and could remember things well enough, but he usually didn't care enough to try that hard. There weren't any real threats around, so it's not like him being battle-ready was a top priority. Cinderpaw helped him during the green cough wave, and when they returned to camp, his family was gone. The few friends he had besides Cinderpaw were gone as well. It was just the two of them now. Cinderpaw and Eveningpaw clung to each other even tighter than the before. The two were made warriors, much to Eveningberry's surprise. He knows they let him pass so they could focus resources elsewhere, and he knows he wasn't the best, but he still feels kinda bad. He chips in a lot more now that there's less cats around. He can tell the other cats are relieved he's pulling his weight, but he didn't realize how tired it would make him all the time. He is usually hanging out with Cinderstripe. He can tell the green cough wave has had an effect on her, but he knows she won't fully tell him why. He stays close to her and checks in, making sure she's cared for, since she won't do it herself. She's his best friend, and if she won't take care of herself, then he will. He's worn out, but he needs her to be okay. Eveningberry is currently 10 moons old, and is regarded as the most laid-back cat in the clan. To expand on the specific warrior roles, there used to be a role that Eveningberry may have been selected for if he had shown more interest in it. I'm a believer that history tends to repeat itself, especially the parts that are forgotten. It's easy to make the same mistake twice if you forgot what the outcome was the first time. The keepers in Cicelyclan prevent this from happening. A cat chosen to be a keeper will carry the knowledge of the clan's entire history, the changes the land has gone through, and a thorough understanding of the painted wall. Inside Blackstar's den, there is a rock face, a few cats high and a little more long. This wall is covered in paint. Dried petals and berries are crushed and combined with honey, bird egg, or even spit to make colorful, scented paints that decorate this wall. Each printed toe bean is the symbol of a cat from Cicelyclan. Although each cat used to have their own color, as years passed, there were too many cats for the available colors. At some point on the rock face, you can see where the keepers switched to entire family lines being one designated color. When two cats would come together, their kittens would be the combination of the two family colors. As the clan grew more and more, these color differences became harder to detect. At this point, the keepers are the only ones that know fully which family line a color represents by either smell or sight. To maintain this record, the keepers repaint the wall to keep the record alive, making it even more vital to know what cat is what color. Cicelyclan knows its history well thanks to their keepers. There is not a cat in StarClan that a Cicelyclan member couldn't identify. Unfortunately, Blackstar fears this may change in her lifetime. This is because Cicelyclan is currently lacking any keepers. During the wave of green cough, their 3 keepers were struck with the illness, and although it looked like one of them was going to make it, they all ended up passing. no cat knows how to fill their absence. There are no cats qualified to be a keeper, no one fully knowing every cat on the wall, and no one carrying even close to the full history of the clan. Currently, the clan now relies on the memories in every cat to keep Cicelyclan's history intact. They hope this will be enough. If you've seen the last video, you've already heard of Garlicstream. Now it's finally time to meet her. She's a short-haired white cat with cinnamon and red spotted calico tail and ears. She has hazel eyes like her brother, Chervelfur. She is gentle and friendly and cares deeply for her family. Most cats enjoy her for her optimism and find her very pleasant to talk to. As a kitten, Garlic Kit hung close to her parents and brother. She found it scary to make friends. When she became an apprentice, things became a little easier. She was excited to have more friends than just her brother, but she had a hard time understanding why Chervelpaw didn't seem to have the same outlook. Garlicpaw was also a hopeless romantic. She would develop a crush on a Tom that she had spoken to maybe once, gushing about him to her brother until he would get her to talk to him again. She would quickly find out they had nothing in common, get sad, and then a week later crush over another Tom. Eventually, a Tom liked her too. It only took him one look to fall for her. He was training to become a rescuer, something I'll explain a little later, and she ended up falling head over paws for him. When they became warriors, Garlicstream was elated that he was now her mate. She felt bad for losing touch with Chervelfur, but was proud that he had become deputy. Everything seemed to be working out. Eventually, they found out she was pregnant, and Garlicstream's life was becoming dreamlike. Her brother was close with her again, she was starting a family with a cat that loved her, and she ended up having a healthy litter. Everything was perfect. Then Leaf Bear happened. When she heard rumors of green cough, she took her kits and ran. She wanted to take her whole family with her, but some of them already had white cough. Her mate kept up with fetching her prey, but he still stuck by the camp. He felt obligated to help the healers and the sick that were still at the camp. Her brother was the only one that could stay by her consistently. Before she knew it, everyone was sick. Her mate stopped visiting. She heard news that her grandparents were in bad shape. Eventually, her cousins stopped checking on her. The only ones from her family that made it out were her mother, her brother, herself, and her kits. Her massive family had dwindled into a sample of cats. She had just about lost everything. While still reeling from shock, her kittens were made apprentices. She watched as Whitepaw and Waxpaw reluctantly entered the world, and a camp they hadn't seen before. Everything was different now. Garlicstream knew she had so much ahead of her, but she needed support, and most of her support system was gone. She won't let her kits see how devastated she is. They were too tiny to remember much before Leaf Bear, and she doesn't want to weigh them down with the past. Besides, she's still trying to comprehend it all. She is eternally grateful she still has her mother and brother, and is relieved that Blackstar is letting her have a reduced workload as she copes. All she can do is look on the bright side. Garlicstream is currently 33 moons, or 2 3/4 years old. The clan regards her as a friendly face with a kind heart. She is part of a former powerhouse family in the clan. These mostly white and calico cats were abundant in Cicelyclan before the epidemic. With the help of a keeper, Garlicstream could trace her ancestry back to nearly the beginning of the clan. Her family line has included leaders, leafs, queens that have produced some of the most kits, and rescuers. This is another special role, like keepers. If a cat fell and got hurt, or went missing and needed to be searched for, or even when a cat passed away and needed to be moved to the graveyard, rescuers found these cats and carried them to where they needed to go. They could perform more first aid than a typical warrior, and specialized in search and rescue missions. Cicelyclan was proud of their team of rescuers keeping their members safe. Unfortunately, no members of this team survived last Leaf Bear. Garlicstream's mate held out longer than most, but he too eventually fell to the illness. Blackstar is eager to train a cat for this role to keep the knowledge alive, but she also needs all the cats she has performing important standard warrior duties. She has debated about temporarily opening special roles to performing basic warrior duties as well, but she is worried about the workload that would bring. She's stuck deciding between the retention of generations of knowledge that has kept them safe, and not overworking the grief-stricken survivors. Next is Cinderstripe's aunt, Heatherlegge. She's a short-haired red mackerel tabby with gold eyes. She is jumpy and has a thick wall she puts up for most cats. But once she trusts you, she's extremely considerate and often takes care of her friends better than herself. Her parents named her after her love of the local flowers, one of her favorites being heather. She was born to Swanheart, who you'll meet in the Elders video, and was born alongside her sister, Cormorant and another sibling that passed away before leaving the nursery. Swanheart's pregnancy with them was rough, which caught her and the leaf off guard since her prior litter had gone just fine, these cats being healthy new warriors. Heatherkit and her sister were doted on heavily due to their rough start. Her and her sister didn't end up playing with other kits very much because Swanheart kept them so close to the leaf. It was thanks to this diligence to their health that Heatherkit and Cormorant became apprentices. But where Cormorantpaw was eager to prove herself, Heatherpaw was shy. She didn't want to fight. She didn't want to learn defense. She just wanted to pick flowers and explore the territory with her sister. The mentors finally convinced her to take an interest in the history of the clan and weaned her into training slowly. When she finally became a warrior, she ended up helping around the camp a lot. Heatherlegge would tend to the elders, run herbs to the nursery for the leaf, wake apprentices up for their training, basically whatever small tasks she could get her paws on. She enjoyed being useful. Other cats enjoyed the ease of her helping out. When green cough hit, Blackstar made Heatherlegge one of the first to quarantine. The leader didn't trust that her health as a kitten had improved enough to keep her immune to green cough, let alone white cough, and so she sent her out towards the forest. When Heatherlegge finally returned, she was distraught. Everything was different now. Frighteningly enough, all but one of the mentors were gone. Chervelfur named her a mentor to help with the now only 4 apprentices. As a side note, in Cicelyclan, mentors teach a group of apprentices rather than one cat per apprentice, so Heatherlegge and Egretlegge were now tasked with catching up all these paws on the moons of training they had missed. Heatherlegge felt on top of things before, but now the clan has lost generations of cats. There's so much to rebuild. She is determined, though. She is pleasantly surprised she was chosen to be a mentor, even if she doesn't feel she's up to the task. She trusts Chervelfur and Blackstar, and she wants to do her best to help wherever she can. Heatherlegge is currently 48 moons, or 4 years old. She is regarded as one of the most gentle cats in Cicelyclan. To wrap up Heatherlegge's speed draw, I want to talk about the mentors in more detail. In Cicelyclan, apprentices are put into groups of 4 to 8, and each group is assigned between 2 and 4 mentors. Instead of a one-on-one teacher and student, it's more like a class. Mentors often collaborate with other groups, keeping the clan unified and introducing cats to their clanmates. Mentors will also bring in warriors skilled in certain areas to help them train. A cat skilled in hunting may come in to teach techniques the mentor may not be as skilled in, or the secondary healer may stop by to teach cats first aid. When the number of apprentices shrink and there's too many mentors, the extra mentors either roam between groups, join a pre-existing group, or they are assigned warrior tasks. Being a mentor isn't a part-time thing like it is in the books. It's an entire job. There are some mentors skilled in certain subjects that pretty much only roam between groups to hone that certain skill. And there are others like Heatherlegge that cover the basics and stick to a particular group. Once apprentices are close to becoming warriors, they often shadow other cats in the clan. If a paw is training to become a hunter, they'll shadow a hunting patrol a few days out of the week. If they're training to maintain dens, they'll spend time watching these cats in action. It's a way of learning trade secrets directly from the cats you'll be working with, and it's a great way to see what you'll actually be doing. These apprentices still train with their mentors during this time, but more time is spent specializing in these activities they'll be doing when they graduate. As a more general mentor, Heatherlegge's job is to find out what an apprentice's strengths are. She teaches cats the fundamentals in every skill, sees what piques their interest, and plan where to go from there. If the apprentice changes their mind, or things aren't working out, she has to think of plan B. She's on the front lines of the clan's future. She takes this very seriously, and tries to nourish the excitement the paws have rather than force what's needed onto them. Second to last is the most senior warrior in Cicelyclan, Chanterelle Pelt. She has been brought up a few times now, and it's finally time to meet her. She's a short-haired white cat with taupe and apricot, classic tabby, calico tail and ears with hazel eyes. She is dedicated and holds strongly to her heroes and influences. She's a little aloof and can come off as ditzy, but she's a force to be reckoned with. She was born into the Sweetroot family, a name given to one of the oldest families in Cicelyclan. They earned their name from their stereotypical white coat, and by being part of Cicelyclan for so long that they practically made up half the cats in it. She carries the telltale prominent white coat with some calico bits that most cats in her family had. She was born with high expectations on her shoulders. Members of the Sweetroot family have grown up to become great contributors to Cicelyclan, and especially since she carried the classic coat of a Sweetroot cat, she was expected to do great. Chanterelle Kit's mother didn't have much luck bringing honor to the Sweetroot name, and her father wasn't particularly great either, so all their hopes were on Chanterelle Kit. This pressure was felt by her from a very young age. She was the only kitten in her mother's litter, so all eyes were on her. Not that her parents didn't cherish her. Chanterelle Kit was named for the orange spots on her, reminding her father of the chanterelle mushroom, his favorite fungi. As she got older, her fur has faded into the apricot and taupe the generator gave her, but she always cherished being named after her father's favorite thing. As an apprentice, she trained hard, and got nowhere. She felt the pressure to do good from her entire family, and she quickly began to fear she wasn't living up to their expectations. Her mentors helped her immensely, training her not for what her parents wanted, but for what she seemed to excel in. This helped her feel grounded in something other than the family name, giving her some confidence. She started to excel in self-defense, her mentors struggling to land a hit on her towards the end of her training. When she graduated and became Chanterelle Pelt, the other warriors already had respect for her. She was gentle. She wasn't showy in her skills, but no cat could touch her. She was the best the clan had, let alone the best in the Sweetroots. Chanterelle Pelt may be the oldest warrior now, but she's still got several seasons before she retires. It's hard for her to think about. Before last Leaf Bear, there were 5 warriors older than her. She had looked up to them since she was an apprentice. She had trained with one of them a few moons before they became a warrior, but Greencough hit them when they were vulnerable. While Chanterelle Pelt would have expected them to be the first to recover a few years ago, they had been through a lot, and this season seemed to hit hard. The years of experience had made them valuable, but also vulnerable to such an illness. Chanterelle had hoped to lounge with them in the Elder's Den, and they had joked about which stories they were going to tell the new apprentices that were still in the nursery. Now it's just her. She feels greatly responsible for passing these stories on now. She is desperate for others to know the legacy of the cats she so looked up to. Chanterelle is extremely worried now that the keepers are gone as well. She is her heroes' and friends' last chance to be remembered. Chanterelle Pelt is currently 60 moons, or 5 years old. She is known as the best in defense in Cicelyclan. Last for this video is another newly made warrior, Dasukit. He's a short-haired caramel mackerel tabby with green eyes. Dasukit is shy and a big crier. He will tear up from happiness, sadness, anger, or even allergies. He gets embarrassed very easily, and tends to show his emotions more than he would like. Dasukit was born into a fairly large litter, having 3 other siblings. His parents doted on them all since it was going to be his mother's last litter. Most cats in the clan are named after flowers or birds, but Dasukit was named after a fish. His parents playfully joked about how terrible of an eater he was, often somehow ending up covered in milk. They said he was like a fish born as a cat, so they named him after the Dace fish. As he grew up, Dasukit was incredibly embarrassed by this, but enjoyed how his parents cared for him. When he became an apprentice, he clung to his mentor's sides. He was really nervous, and often cried from hurting himself or getting embarrassed. The other apprentices teased him a lot for this, which ended up only making things worse. There was an upside though. In one of the apprentice groups they frequently paired up with, there was Dasukit. Dasukit thought she was the prettiest and cutest cat in all of Cicelyclan, and really wanted to impress her, but absolutely could not work up the courage to even make eye contact with her. As Dasukit's training progressed, he managed to build up some courage. He was a decent hunter, and had great stamina for patrols, and was a hard worker. He even got paired with Dasukit in training a few times, giving him the chance to make a connection with her. They became friends, Dacepaw absolutely dying inside to ask her out, but never striking up the courage for it. He figured he'd wait until they were warriors. It was only a few weeks anyways, and it would give him enough time to prepare. Then green cough happened. Because of his frequent allergies, his mentor sent him to quarantine by the coast once the first green cough case was announced. He did fine on his own. He was very lonely though. It was bittersweet to have the opportunity to spend the time sitting by the water. It was peaceful and surreal. Most cats would come here to relax for a few minutes, but now he was spending moons here while his clanmates struggled. When he got word that it was safe to come back, he immediately searched for his family, but they were gone. His grandpa, his parents, siblings, all gone. He looked for his mentors. They were gone too. With a pit in his stomach, he searched for Asphodelpaw, and he thanked the stars when she was still there. She was upset, but at least alive. He was desperate. He couldn't wait anymore. He told her he knew now wasn't a good time, but he couldn't miss the opportunity again. He would regret it forever if he didn't get another chance to ask her to stay with him. Thankfully, she felt the same. Shervulfer rushed to make them warriors now that it had been moons past their expected graduation. After a while, Asphodelfoot nervously told Dacelegge that she was expecting. He, of course, cried. He was thrilled. The two felt bad for not being able to contribute their all to the clan for a couple moons, but it was also a relief to have kittens on the way. It was a bit of joy for the entire clan. Dacelegge keeps an eye on Asphodelfoot as much as he can, bringing her all of her meals and frequently asking the leaf to check on her. He is already an incredibly worried father, but he is thrilled to see his kits when they're born. It's the most excited he's been in quite some time. It's the most excited any cat has been for quite some time. It's a small blessing in the clan's puddle of sorrow, and every cat is clinging to whatever they can get. They're happy to pick up where Asphodel can't if it means more paws in the future. Dacelegge is currently 14 moons, or 1¼ years old. Most cats would describe him as a crybaby, but with a heart full of love. As a quick side note, pregnant cats aren't immediately put in the nursery in Cicelyclan. I'm not sure how it works in the books, as I honestly can't remember the hunters going into much detail about it, but in Cicelyclan, pregnant cats are put on a lighter workload until a few weeks before they deliver. A cat's gestation period is about 63 to 67 days, so I'd say the leaf has them stay in camp around day 40. Asphodelfoot at this point is still roaming around and doing duties, it's just lighter stuff and closer to camp. I can go into more detail in the video on the pregnant queens. And that's it for now. I want to get these videos out a little sooner, but holy cow, there was a lot of information to cover in this video. The next one will be on the apprentices, and there's only 4 of them, so it should be easier to cover. I'm so glad you all have liked these videos so far. I really love world building, and seeing you all enjoy what I've done is incredible. I really can't express how happy I am that you all are enjoying my videos so far. I hope I get the next video out for you all soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.